One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to krystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. All right, we are here today to talk about something that a lot of podcasters ask me about, and I tell them I'm not a social media expert. Okay, I don't have millions of followers. I don't have tons of engagement, like enough to say I'm an expert in this and I love talking about it. But I will say I know how to measure the success of if what I'm doing on social media is actually working. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, Krystal's going to give us all the tips, all the tricks. Nope, that's not happening here. But I am going to tell you how I use social media for my podcast and why it is a staple in the workflow, like all the processes of what I do. Like it's just part of it. It's not enough anymore to just post a brand new episode and hope that it takes off and it's going to be, a great episode and reach all your audience. You got to go above and beyond that. And we're going to talk about that today, what success with that looks like and how to measure results. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. I'm your host, Krystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of podcasting, think of this show as the time-saving shortcut you've been looking for. So let's get right to it, shall we? So I'm looking at, here we are at episode 291. What? We're almost to 300 episodes of this podcast. And it just it really blows my mind sometimes that we've done that many episodes. And actually, I was just looking at the Potty Report is about to hit 400 episodes. So as of me recording this with all the Potty Report, all the Profit Podcast, We are, let me see, 392 episodes of the Potty Report, 306 with the Profit Podcast. Now that includes like bonuses and a few extra episodes that we have in there. But y'all, that is a lot. It's almost 700 podcast episodes that we've done in 3 years. And that's pretty crazy. That's really crazy, actually. So I'm saying that simply because I know what it looks like to produce podcast episodes, but also I know the importance of I don't just put out an episode and cross my fingers and hope that it reaches the people that I want it to reach. Okay, that is just a terrible strategy. And it's often what I hear people saying they're doing with their podcast. When people say, oh, I want to have a bigger audience. I want to have more downloads. I want to have more listeners. And I say, oh, awesome. What are you doing to promote your show now? They kind of look at me like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm publishing, I'm creating my podcast. That's what I'm doing. I'm like, it is not enough. It is not enough to just publish an episode and hope that it's going to reach the people that may or may not be subscribed to your show. Like, let's be totally honest. You know, we kind of brushed past all of this happening, but several months ago, Apple switched things with their app, and a lot of the other podcast players followed suit, and you no longer say subscribe, right? You don't say subscribe to my show. I mean, you can still say it. People will know what you mean, but it's follow. People follow your podcast now. And if I'm being totally honest, I've had many conversations with, the people over at Buzzsprout and the people that develop their stats. Tom, he's one of the co-founders over there. I actually attended his talk at Podcast Movement where he talked about stats and looking at how no one can guarantee exactly how many subscribers you have across all the different platforms, right? Like if you go into YouTube, I could go into my YouTube account right now. I go into my YouTube studio and I can see, oh, there's 3,000 people that are subscribed to my channel. Awesome. It's not the same with a podcast. I can't just go into one place to see how many people are subscribed. Now, why am I bringing subscriptions and follow? Why am I bringing that up? Well, because with podcast, this is where people tend to want to rely on people being notified that there's a brand new episode. They say, well, if I can just get people to subscribe to my show, then my work is done. My marketing is done. I put up a new episode, they get notified, and it's all hunky-dory. Like I'm done. I don't have to do a lot of marketing because people will get notified. But that's not the case. Like, let's be really honest. Think about your own listening behaviors when it comes to podcast. Even if you know it's the day that a show is going to come out, maybe you don't listen to it until you're scrolling on Instagram, you see it on Facebook, maybe LinkedIn, and you're like, oh yeah, that podcast that I love to listen to, they put out a graphic or they put out a, sound bite. And then I'm reminded, I hit this trigger in my brain that says, oh, we need to go listen to that podcast episode because obviously they put out a new episode. That is how a consumption of a podcast listener, like that's usually what the cycle looks like. Now, it's not the same for everybody because I know we all have different listening habits. Maybe you're triggered to listen to a podcast based on your activity. For a lot of people, it's commuting, right? You're driving somewhere and you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting in the car. I'm going to listen to my podcast. Or you're going on a run, or you're doing the dishes, you're doing laundry, you're walking the dog, like whatever that looks like for you. The consuming behavior of listening to podcasts is going to be different. But for the most part, it does not hurt for you to have posts on social media to remind your people again, oh yeah, by the way, there's a new episode if you have not listened to it yet. Okay, so I wanted to kind of put that all out there of where this idea came from for us to talk about social media and subscribes and follows and all those things. Like, it's not enough just to publish a brand new episode. You need to have a marketing strategy behind it in social media. Like, let's just be honest. It's the easiest route to go, and it's free. It's free. Even if you only have 10 people following you on Instagram, you can reach those 10 people by posting a graphic, posting, you could do a reel. You could create a reel that's a soundbite of your show. I won't get into all the different ways that you can promote on social media, but I will talk about the ways that sharing on social can be super, super beneficial to you. So if you've listened to this show, you've heard me say before things like, hey, if you enjoyed this, then take a screenshot where you're listening and tag me on Instagram. And I've had several of y'all do this. Thank you so much for doing that. I love whenever y'all share those and then I can reshare them because it is social proof. It's social proof that I'm not the only one listening to my podcast, right? I'm not the only one like talking about it. I will actually get validation from other people in this audience whenever you do a social share and you tag me in it. It's letting other people know like, oh, there's other people that listen to Krystal's podcast. It's not just her talking about her own show. So that's what sharing on social looks like. But I want to talk about how to kind of measure the results of when you post on social versus when you don't. And it's going to sound really simple, and that's because it is. It is really simple. So I want you to do a little experiment, if you will. I want you to look at your stats over the last 30 days. Now, if you're a Buzzsprout user, just go into your stats, go into the last 30 days, and you'll be able to see what your numbers have been. You can write them down. You can take a screenshot, like whatever you want to do. But then I want you to keep track over the next 30 days, right? So we're looking at the past 30 days, and then from now and for the next 30 days, I want you to keep track of which days you post a new episode and you talk about it on social media. So let's say you publish a new episode every Tuesday. Now, for you, it depends on your posting schedule, whether you talk about that episode the day that it airs, or maybe you post about it on Wednesday, or maybe you post about it on Wednesday and Friday, or maybe you talk about your podcast every single day. I don't know. It's going to look different for everybody, but I want you to do an experiment to see, do my numbers go up whenever I put a graphic on social media? Now, I have other posts that I can link to in the show notes that are all about sharing on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram. We've talked about Reels. I've had a few different social media experts on the podcast, from Andrea to Jay. Like, I'm going to link to all of the social media references and resources that I go to. Like, these are people that I follow and that are super helpful in the Instagram and Facebook and, just the different places online. But at the end of the day, I could serve up all the resources, all of the experts to you, but if you're not actually putting these things into action, then you're missing out. You won't be able to measure whether something is working or not if you're not doing it. So I wanted to talk about how to kind of measure results. So that just simply means look at the past 30 days, figure out what your numbers are for your podcast. And then over the next 30 days, I'm not saying you have to post every single day something about your podcast, but I want you to just take note of the days that you post about your episodes and see if you get any more downloads than you did over the last 30 days. Okay? Because there's a few things that can happen depending on how you put your post on social media, whether you ask people to like, hey, tag a friend who would enjoy this episode, that may reach even more people. Or maybe you could, have a reel or a TikTok that goes viral just because you shared about your podcast. And I'm not saying these things are going to happen, but I'm saying that you'll never know if something like that would work if you don't try it. I'm actually in the testing and experimenting phase again right now with my business. I'm doing a bunch of different types of content that I haven't done before, and I'm just experimenting and I'm measuring. I want to know what my numbers are before I get started, and then that way in a 30-day period, I can know, Did that work? Do I need to pursue that again? Is this something that people that are following me want to see more of? I actually did. Here's like a quick side note. I told myself I need to do more Reels and more TikToks because I've seen a lot of people that got started around the same time as I did, especially on Instagram with Reels. They started doing Reels up to, I would say, 6 to 8 months ago. And their following has probably tripled in size since they've been doing Reels. And so I told myself, you know what? I need to do this. I need to start doing some Reels. And so I'm laughing because I did this thing. It was really stupid. It was really silly. And I thought, sure, no one's going to watch this. Everyone's going to think I'm like, Krystal's lost her mind. What is she doing? So I created this reel that is literally, I was so frustrated. This was like a legit moment. There was no sound effects in the making of this reel, but I was trying to record. I was batching the episodes for the Potty Report. And this is my daily show. If you didn't know this, I have a daily show for the Potty Report, and the episodes are 5 minutes or less. And I'd recorded 4 episodes, and then there was a mowing crew that showed up on our street, right? It's like the lawn mowers, the leaf blowers, like the whole shebang. They showed up right when I was about to start the very last episode. I was like, really? Like, I just want to finish this. I just want to be done. I want to be done recording for the day. But they showed up. And I thought, okay, I'll just do something else. I'll do some content planning. I'll just, until they leave, because I literally couldn't do anything else other than like take my external equipment and like go in the other room. I didn't want to mess with all that. I was like, I'll just wait until they're done. Well, I was sitting there recording, or, I had no makeup. My hair is a total mess. You can go see this reel. Like you can go see how much of a hot mess that I looked. And I thought, you know what?
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants. Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
The last time I posted something about the lawnmowers, like people really responded to that. So I'm going to create a reel. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to record my face and the frustration that I have waiting on the lawnmower. And like you could hear, like I said, this is not like, there was no sound engineering. There was no like background track. This is legitimately how loud these lawnmowers and leaf blowers were in our front yard. And I was like, oh my gosh, people can relate to this. Y'all, I posted this reel. Like I said, it's just me. It is just me for 30 seconds. It is a 30-second reel of me just sitting there with all the equipment going on in the background. And it gets louder towards the end. And I'm like, okay, don't laugh. Just look frustrated, because I was frustrated. That reel got, as of me recording this, it's like still been going. I posted it a few days ago. It's gotten close to 20,000 views. 20,000 views. Most of my other reels might get like 200. And mind you, I don't have 2,000 followers on Instagram. So 20,000 people have watched that post. And I know, like I said, it's not something that like I don't have like tripled my following or did anything crazy like that, but people related to that. And it got me thinking, I need to do more content like that, whether it was me being silly. I think it was the realness of it. I really do. I had several of y'all comment say, oh my gosh, it's like the real, Belinda said something about helicopters. She's got helicopters that fly by her house. And other people are like, oh, or the big trucks, like we live in Texas, the person that commented on it, she actually lives like in my like local area, and she commented about like, oh, what about the big jacked up trucks, that you only find in Texas? And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a guy that lives down the street from us. He has one of those big jacked up trucks that you can hear from time to time in the background of recording my episodes. So y'all know, like, you get it. This is something that is totally relatable. And so this is why I wanted to share this with you. It's not all about having this perfectly crafted recipe for sharing about your podcast on social media. And I think that that's what a lot of people want to hear is like, oh, what's the formula? Like, if I'm going to post on social, I need to know that I have the right formula that's going to get my post to go viral or my post to be seen by thousands and millions of people. Y'all, I don't have that. I don't have a formula. I don't have the exact recipe for you to go viral. I can just tell you the things that I've done that have helped get my message in front of more people. And hopefully those people will go, what does she do? What does this person do? If they've never seen me before, never heard of me, I hope that they go to my profile and they see that I have posted about my podcast, and I hope that they go check it out. I hope that they go look at my IGTVs and see, oh, she has a YouTube channel. Maybe I should go look at that. So it's not all about having, the perfect post every single week or having the recipe for the perfect social media strategy. I think it's more about testing things and trying things out. Like, so many of you, you're just not posting anything. You're not doing any of it. And you're saying, I'm not getting any more downloads. I'm not reaching more people. Well, you're not even trying. You're not even trying because it's not enough to just post a new episode. It's not. I'm going to be the first to tell you that if that is all you're doing, I mean, I'm fantastic that you're consistent, right? That's about as good as I could say about that. I'm glad that you're consistent with your show. But if you're trying to grow your podcast, you got to step out of your comfort zone. You got to do more. You have to. And I know people get stressed out when they're just like, oh, it's one more thing I have to do. I have to create a graphic now. I have to create a soundbite. Work it into your workflow. Okay? This is the only way to make it easier on you and to make it not seem like more work. Work it into your workflow. It's just like whenever you have to record a new episode, then just say, I have to create a soundbite. I have to create a graphic. I have to go on, do a reel real fast, right? For reels, this is a great example. You don't have to do a dance. You don't have to even use music. You could just go on a reel and say, hey, I have a brand new podcast episode out today. Here's what it's about. Go listen to it. Here's the URL, or go listen wherever you listen to podcasts. It's as simple as that. We all want to overcomplicate social media, and people want to say there's this formula and that formula. But at the end of the day, you just got to start trying stuff out. Just start trying things out. And maybe you needed to hear this today. You needed a challenge. You needed to get kind of like bumped out of your comfort zone. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bump you out of your comfort zone and tell you that for the next 30 days, if you're not seeing growth with your podcast and you're also not trying to do anything new, this is your wake-up call. This is your wake-up call to try something new, to get out and do something different, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. If you're not trying to grow your show intentionally, then it's not going to happen. Okay? Let me say that again. If you are not intentionally trying to grow your show, it is not going to happen. It's not just going to happen because you wished it, you crossed your fingers, crossed your toes, and said, I hope that this works. No, we got to go above and beyond and try to do something different. Oh man, y'all, I feel like, let me step off my soapbox for a second, but I feel like so much of that is what I needed to hear as well. I'm not saying this preaching to y'all. I'm saying this because I needed to hear this message the same. Like, I have been in my comfort zone when it comes to sharing about my podcast and doing, let's just be really honest, the bare minimum. Even though it seems like a lot, I put out a lot of content. I've also just been doing the same thing over and over, where it's probably white noise to a lot of people that are in my audience. And that's okay, because now I see it. I noticed it, and now I'm shaking things up. I'm doing things different because I want to see growth with my show. I want to see what I'm capable of. I want to see if I can reach a new audience and get in front of new people. But that's all I have for you today. So like I said, I'm going to link to all the interviews, all the other episodes we've done about social media, and I want you to go dive into those. If you're like, man, I need a new strategy, I need help on Instagram or Facebook, I want you to go listen to those episodes, because hopefully they're going to give you some ideas on how you can shake things up over the next 30 days of your podcast journey. So go to krystalprofit.com/episode 291. Episode 291. Like I said, we're getting close to 300 episodes. And I'm just like, what in the world? That's so just beyond anything I ever imagined. I think back to saying, oh, this is episode 20, like a few years ago. And to think that we're almost at 300 episodes, like, just blows my mind. Totally blows my mind. So go check all of those out. And if you are listening to this in real time, you know that Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy just opened for enrollment. And I'm so excited, so excited. So let me talk about this real fast. So we have a DCA bonus package for anybody that wants to enroll with Digital Course Academy through my affiliate partner link. And I want you to go check it out. It's going to be linked in the show notes, but it's also krystalprofit.com/DCA 2021. So go check it out, my whole bonus package. And I hope that you reach out if you have any questions about Digital Course Academy or joining through my affiliate link. We're going to have so much fun. So much fun. We have accountability group. We have lots of bonuses that are related to your podcast. And I'm so dang excited for this 2021 class for DCA. So go check that out in the show notes, krystalprofit.com/episode 291. And that's all I have for y'all today. So as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Krystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Krystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.